I have a stand-up comedian, magician, and ventriloquist joining me
Mhm.
today. On May 1st of this year, he struck a deal with Amazon Prime to stream his hit special, Andy Gross. Are you kidding me? Mr. Andy, thank you so much for joining me today.
Well, thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. Now, you've got to talk to us about this
Yeah.
hour-long special, if you're including the commercials, right? But of these epic pranks, vanishing heads, nonstop surprises, and just pure entertainment. Tell us what our viewers can expect by streaming your show.
Okay. Well, you hit a lot of them right there already. But about a few years ago, I came up with a few pranks and I put them on, I guess it was YouTube back then, and they did extremely well, like went viral, crazy viral. And then I kept following up with all these viral videos. And then we've kind of taken all of those old viral videos, put them together into one compilation with a lot of new stuff. And this is where Amazon came into place. It's called Andy Gross. Are you kidding me? So on there, you're going to see exactly what you said. You're going to see me coming and pulling people's heads off on a bus, where the bus driver came after me with a big metal bat. We had to stop him and tell him we were just doing a YouTube video, which is kind of fun. It was actually down in Compton. We were down in Compton, California, and I really got on a bus with a girl that I work with, and I kind of caused a scene and went in and I pulled her head off and ran out of the bus. And the reactions that we got were so over the top. It was just incredible. And the bus driver really came at me with this big metal bat. And one of my camera guys came out and said, "No, no, we're just doing a video." And this is just I'm telling this story because Los Angeles is so interesting. So the bus driver, who looks like The Rock, I think he got more publicity out of this video than I did because everyone loved him because he go, "Oh my God, is that The Rock driving the bus?" Anyway, so he says to me once he finds out it's a video we're filming, he goes, "You know what? I'm an actor. I actually think we could do it better. Let's do it again." And that's just how Hollywood is. Everybody in Los Angeles seems to be an actor, even the bus driver in Compton. And once he found out he wanted to do it
Let's do
again,
it
and
again.
I said, "You don't get it. We got what we needed because that reaction, there's no way you could do it better than that, because that was the real thing." So it was a lot. It was fun.
Oh, I love it. I've seen some of your pranks online, and I mean, just seeing people, like you said, their raw reaction. So I love to hear that it truly is their raw reaction. Now, you said that you did this prank in Compton. Is that not
Yes.
dangerous? How does that make you feel?
Yes, yeah, my brother was saying, "I think you're going to get us killed." you
Yeah.
know, but you know what? Yeah, thank God, everybody that I've always done these to have been has been great. I mean, the only thing I will get from time to time is people that don't react so much. They just look at me like, "Who's this, freak?" and just kind of walk away. So I might have to do it a bunch of times because people say, "Oh my gosh, those reactions are incredible," but they don't realize that maybe I've done it 50 different times, and we'll take 20 of the best reactions and put them into the video. So that's kind of how that works. So I have to do it quite a bit, and to get the best reactions. But nobody's ever been upset. There was one time at a restaurant I did a trick where I was like the chef, and I came over in this chef outfit. It was a Japanese restaurant. I came over with a knife, and I was cutting everything up, and I accidentally cut my arm. On purpose, accidentally on purpose. And I cut my arm during this thing. You see the whole knife going through there. And this family did get a little upset with me. The father came over and said, we wait all month to go to a fancy, nice restaurant. And you came over and ruined our meal. And I said, "Well, let me just pay for it." And all of a sudden he was happy and nice and signed the release to be on there.
Bet.
Yeah, so
I
there you
bet.
go.
Now, this might be kind of a funny question. Is there kind of like a stereotype of people who either are like quick to give you good reactions or who are quick to be like, mm-mm, like I'm not doing that? Or is it just anybody?
Anybody. You know what? We've tried to figure that out. I will say this was kind of funny. When my first video went viral many years ago, it was one where I was cut in half and it looked like I was carrying my top half. My legs were on the other side of me. A company in New York contacted me. It was a production company, and they said, "We're doing this magic prank show, and we want you to host it." So I said, "This is fantastic." They flew me out to New York, and they took me out on the streets of New York to do this bit where I was cut in half. And let me tell you something, the New Yorkers, they didn't react like Los Angeles. Even the people filming it were like, "Why aren't we getting these reactions?" Because everybody in New York was just like, "Okay, keep your blinders on. Don't look at that freak over there. He's crazy." And I was jumping out, screaming more, and and getting louder and louder. And we didn't get quite the reactions that you would get maybe in here in LA or other places, even just because people are so used to seeing so many wild things in New York. I would assume.
That is true.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
very true.
I
It's
will say that
amazing
I
that
was sore the next day though because we did it for about 12 hours, and obviously I'm not cut in half, but it's a very strange position to be in. So the next morning when I woke up, I was like, "Oh, this is not good. I've never
that's
done it 12 hours straight."
Yeah, so I'm sorry to hear that. But I mean, hey, it's so funny when you hear just of the different cultural customs and of the different cultural norms.
Yeah. Sometimes it's fun. I put them in there on purpose. Sometimes people don't react. They just kind of look at you like just like,
Yeah,
and that is a funny reaction in itself that they're just kind of speechless. They don't know what to say. So we
makes
put
sense.
some of those in there with some of the overtop reactions, and it seems to work. Because people, it's funny because it's with my editor and my guy that films it. We're always arguing because I always want the trick to look amazing. I go, "Wait, did it look good there? Did it not look good?" He goes, "It doesn't matter. All that matters is the reaction. I want to make sure the reaction of these people. I want to get the reactions." And I guess he is right ultimately, but we're both right in a way that I'm worried about the effect. He's worried about the reactions, and really, that's what people want to see at home. When you're watching these videos, you want to see the reactions.
Sure. Well, look, y'all are
Yeah,
both right. Like you said,
yeah,
you need the combination, and y'all seem to
yeah,
do that very well, right?
yeah.
Obviously, well enough to get put on Amazon Prime. How did this deal come about? Obviously, you said that you were going so viral, having over 180 million views. How did you end up where you are today?
I think exactly what you just said right there. What happened was, I had been doing this for almost 30 years now. I actually started doing magic when I was just a little kid, but touring really extensively for almost 30 years now. And once these videos started going viral, it kind of comes to you. They kind of find you. So, I mean, once I had one video went viral, the Ellen Show contacted me, and I went on the Ellen Show and I did it. And then went on a bunch of different types of shows after that. And then, like, that production company contacted me. So they kind of find you after a while because I always tell people now, even younger people that are coming up in the industry, I always say, look, the internet is amazing. It is absolutely amazing. You don't have to wait around anymore to be picked to be on the Johnny Carson or the Tonight Show. I mean, you can go out and you can film this stuff with your phone, put it up on the internet, and become an overnight sensation. You really can, whether it's music, magic, or dancing, whatever it is that you do. It's pretty neat that you can get an audience, and not just locally, worldwide. I mean, once my first video went viral, I ended up doing shows in Paris and Barcelona and London. It was amazing to me. I mean, in years prior, there was no way you could do that without being a major celebrity and having major studios behind you. So that to me is amazing. And then, like I said, I had these viral videos and it just kind of starts to fall in place. I guess like the old saying is the harder you work, the luckier you get. So I'm always trying to reinvent and come up with new tricks and not stop.
Absolutely. Come on, Luck. You have it clearly. You have
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, you've got to keep going. You have to kind of keep reinventing yourself too, because now there's so many people doing it on the internet. You've got to kind of stand out now. The competition has gotten more and more fierce, even on the internet. So you've got to do stuff that kind of makes you stand out. And luckily, I've had some good ones that have worked. And I'm always sitting here. My wife looks at me sometimes. I'm in my own little world. She says, "I know you're thinking about the next video." I go, "Pretty much, yeah."
I love it.
Yeah,
Speaking of your wife, I wanted to know, like, how is that dynamic with you and your family? I mean, you're currently on tour. You were just in Georgia, maybe, I think it was last month that you were in
yeah,
Georgia. How are you able to balance all of this? I mean, even when you're at home, like you said, your wife's like, oh, you're thinking about your next video, huh?
yeah,
How do
yeah.
you kind of do your work-life balance? Are you struggling like the rest of us? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, I mean, you know what? It was a little bit harder when the kids were younger. We have four kids. So when the kids were younger, it was a little bit more difficult because I would be gone. I was gone quite a bit on the road, but I tried to keep it to where I'd go out for a few days and then come back for a week, go out for a few days, come back for a week. So it wasn't terrible. But now that they're a little bit older, I'm out on the road a little bit more. But they kind of got used to it. They knew the dad was going to come in. But when I was in town, I was present. I was taking them to school, I was picking them up, I was with them all the time because I didn't have a 9 to 5. So when I'm in town, I'm with them all the time. So once I left, it was a little bit more difficult, but that was my job, and I think they knew it.
Got you, got you.
Yeah,
Now, earlier today, somebody randomly said they randomly brought up comedians. I didn't tell anybody that I was interviewing you today, but
yeah,
they randomly brought up that comedians can be very dark people. Like they can have very, whether it's like a dark past or dark
yeah.
experiences that kind of lead them there. So that just really sparked my curiosity about you. Like, is this like a true stereotype for you as well? What kind of drew you into comedy in the first place?
That's true. And that is very true about a lot of comedians. They are, very difficult. Sometimes they have some issues going on. I don't think I do.
Good.
I don't think. But I got started. I was 9 years old and I saw the movie Magic. And I don't know if you remember that movie. It's a great movie. It still holds up today. It was Anthony Hopkins and Anne Margaret and Burgess Meredith. and it was about a deranged ventriloquist that ends up using his dummy to kind of kill people. So maybe I do have a dark side because once I saw that movie, I said, "This is great. I got to learn this. I have to learn to become a ventriloquist because I can have this dummy do all my murdering for me." No, but that was what the movie was sort of about, and he was because they always portray ventriloquists, especially as being kind of crazy, and the dummy takes over and tells him what to do, which like this guy here, but he hasn't said a word today, so I don't think.
Hey, maybe yet.
Let me out! Hey, let me out! No, let me out!
Oh, we're getting started.
Hey, let me out! No.
Not let him out.
Little ventriloquism, yeah. So no, I don't. But I do know that a lot of comedians, you're right, have very dark sides, and it's interesting. Some of the real famous comedians, like the kids, have written autobiographies about them or biographies about them, and they would say, I think George Carlin's daughter wrote a book, and she would say, he had these weird moments where he would just do crazy things that stood out in her mind, and there's some stories about Paul Winchell, who was a ventriloquist, a famous one. He had a TV show in the 50s and 60s and was a pretty famous ventriloquist. And apparently he had some issues. So I don't know. I feel pretty grounded for the most part.
Thank
I'm just
God.
like a
I'm
I'm like
glad
a
to hear.
big kid is all though. The only thing is my kids and my wife get mad at me. They're like, stop doing this because I'm always doing some weird, crazy stuff. Like we were at Disneyland not too long ago, and I was ahead of the whole family, and I just kind of reached around like I was in high school or junior high and tapped on this guy's shoulder on the other side, and he looked. I didn't know the guy, but my kids are like, "Do you know him?" I go, "No." They go, why are you doing that? I go, I don't know. I don't know. Something in me just did it. I don't know. So
There you go.
or I'll
That's what
throw my
makes life
voice on
fun.
elevators. I'll throw my voice in weird places. My kids are like, oh no, not again, Dad. Come on.
Now tell
But
me, what does voice throwing mean actually? Does that just mean you're just switching out your voice?
yeah, kind of what I just did. Like if I want to make my voice sound like it's in my hand, it would be like, I don't know if you could hear that. Is that working there?
No, I didn't. Try one more time.
Okay, we'll go. Try it again.
Oh wow. I could hear it.
Yeah. It's a weird little voice. So it makes it appears that your voice is coming from someplace other than you. And that's as a kid, I wanted to learn really how to throw my voice because a lot of ventriloquists work with puppets and you
Right.
don't move your lips, but I wanted to learn how to throw my voice, make it sound like it was coming from far away or beneath the stage or locked in a closet or in a trunk. And I had a lot of fun. I learned how to do it like that, like, let me out, hey, let me out, help me. So it really sounds like someone is maybe locked in a closet or an elevator. And I fooled a lot of people. People hit the panic button in elevators thinking we're going to smash someone. Or I used to throw my voice in school and I got pretty good at it. I could page myself out of class, which was kind of fun.
Hmm.
And funerals are fantastic to throw your voice at. No, not funerals. I
Oh my
wouldn't do it there.
gosh.
No, I wouldn't do it there.
I appreciate
Let
that.
me out.
Amazing. That's so cool. Well, I mean, you're already doing it, but keep going. I want to see tricks. You have cards for me.
I
You
have
have
some tricks. Yeah.
all
You
of
want to see
it.
a magic trick?
Yes, I'm
I've got a
excited.
magic trick for you. Okay, I've got one here for you. And it's important to tell the people at home that we've not prearranged anything. We just met and nothing is set up. That would be silly. It would defeat the purpose of the whole magic. So just imagine for a second that I have four queens, four big jumbo queens right here. I'm going to give you a choice. I'm going to remove two of them. One, two. Did I just remove both of the red ones or both of the black ones? Totally your choice. Reds or blacks?
Favorite color is red, so we're gonna go with that one.
Remove the reds, right?
Hmm.
Gone. You're right. That leaves us with
Two blacks.
the blacks. Okay. Again, I'm going to give you a free choice. Do you want clubs or spades? Totally your choice.
Spades.
You
Spades.
call it. Spades? Yep. Okay. Watch. Queen of spades. Okay, but check this out. Okay, so there's strange luck. It's the only red one that I had.
Uh,
Not only
okay.
is it the only red one, I didn't even bother bringing the other ones.
Mhm.
There you go.
Nasty work, sir. I like
Uh-huh.
it.
Crazy,
Next.
right? Okay,
More.
next one, next one. Okay, okay, I've got another one. I've got a rubber band on this, and here's what I want you to do. I want you just to think of a card in your mind. Think of any card, and I'm going to name it. You just think of it, I'll name it. You let me know when you have it.
Okay, I'm ready.
I'm gonna name it right now. I'm gonna name it Paris.
Paris,
I
what
know
does
that's
that
weird.
mean?
Let me explain. Let me explain. Okay, here's how it works. So I have the deck cards in rubber bands. I'm gonna take them out. What was your card? I'm gonna go through 'em. What was your card?
It was a black eight of hearts. Is that a card?
Yeah, eight of hearts. Okay, so eight of hearts would be the red one though. That's okay. So we're gonna go through. You can see me going through here, and I'm gonna pull out the eight of hearts. Let me find it. Remember, I named your card Paris, but check this out. I'm gonna go right through here. Well, where is it? Come on. Did I pass it? I hope not. There, eight of hearts. There's
Hmm.
your eight of hearts right here. Cleanly take it out. I'm gonna take the eight of hearts and I'm gonna place it right there. Now
Hmm.
let me explain. Remember, I said I named your card Paris? Well, I named this one Philadelphia, this
Okay.
one London, this one Rome, this one Sydney, Vegas, Amsterdam, Miami, Houston, Los Angeles, Tokyo, Boston, Denver. I could go through all these cards. I named each card a different name: Istanbul, Barcelona, Prague, Chicago, Cairo, Moscow. But I named your card Eight of Hearts. You said I named it Paris.
Hmm. I guess that's true. See, y'all, he works even if you don't know cards well.
Yeah, that was Eight of Hearts. But I know, and sometimes people don't always know the cards. Yeah, but and it's a lot better the trick if you do know the card.
Okay. But no, very good. Now, I
Crazy
want to
stuff.
know more about these dummies though in the back. Or do you have more card tricks for me?
I could do one more card trick, and then I can tell you about the dummies because I love the dummies. I have a huge collection of them, so I'll tell you about those. But I have a rubber band on here, so I can't cheat.
Okay.
Again, I know you weren't sure about the cards, but remember, there's Ace through King, Diamonds,
Mhm.
Hearts, Spades, and Clubs. So I want you to think of any card again. You think of any card, and again, it's important to establish we've not set anything up. We've never spoke before. We haven't prearranged anything. So just think of any card because here's what happened. This will blow your mind. Earlier today, because I knew I was going to have this interview, I took one card out of this deck and I reversed it from all the other cards. So there's one card and only one card reversed, and it's going to be the card you're thinking of.
Can I say it?
What's the card you're thinking of?
I'm gonna go with five diamonds.
Five of diamonds. You could change now. You sure they want to keep the five of diamonds? Yes.
No. Let's do nine clubs.
Nine of clubs. Nine of clubs. Final answer?
Sure. Why not?
Final answer, nine of clubs. Okay, watch. Very slowly going to remove the cards. I'm going to go through the cards one by one, looking for your card. Right near the beginning, there is one card reversed out of the entire deck of cards. One card and only one card.
Oh,
The
Lord.
card you were thinking of, the nine of clubs.
Stop it. Ooh.
Kind of spooky, huh?
Oh, I love. Very
Yeah.
neat.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I do a lot in my live show. When people come see the live show, I do a lot of mentalism, mind reading, and a lot of crazy fun magic stuff. And it's more comedy than anything when they come to see the live show. But dummies you're asking about, I have probably 250 or more dummies, which is crazy because I collect them. Old ones. Like this one here is from about 1937, maybe, and it was carved by a guy named Frank Marshall, who carved a lot of the really old famous ventriloquist dummies. Most vaudeville ventriloquists, and if you remember Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy, or Paul Winchell, who I talked about before, had his own television show. This guy carved all of those ventriloquist dummies, I guess you call them. And so I collect them. So he's I don't use him, but he just kind of sits over here. And when my kids were littler, friends would come over and they tell us now as they got older that we didn't like coming to your house because you had all those creepy puppets laying around, you know. A lot of
Oh,
people get a little scared of them.
I
So
can imagine. Oh my goodness. How
yeah.
are they? So I know you said you collect them. Do you know how they're made exactly?
Yeah, most of them, most of the old ones were wood carved. They're actually an old chisel, a block of wood and a chisel. Some guy would just carve them and put the little mechanics in there to move their eyes and move the mouth and things like that. And I make some myself today. Some of the ones I use, I do make them myself. But there's a lot more modern ways now of molding and sculpting them in a lot of different materials. I don't really carve them out of wood. Some people still do, and it's but to me I just like these old ones like this, just the history of them and where they came from. And like I said, I have over 200 of them. So, and a lot of times it's interesting too, on the road when I'm traveling performing, people show up with these. I mean, I've had people say, you know what, I my uncle was a ventriloquist and I've got 10 of his dummies back at my house. We don't know what to do with them. You want to see them? And so many times I've had people bring dummies, or I'll go back and meet them, and that's how I get a lot of them.
Wow.
They kind of find me, which is
They
which is
do.
great. Yeah. Yeah, because they're
Yeah,
rare. I mean, there weren't many. I mean, how many ventriloquist dummies were really made? Not that many. So,
got you. No, I can only
yeah.
imagine your house for your children. Oh my
It's it's
goodness.
it's pretty wild,
My
but
mom.
we kind of keep it more or less in my office a little bit, or in one other room we have, which we call a dummy room. But oddly enough, it's always funny. As my kids were growing up, they would be over with friends, and I would hear them in the dummy room, and they'd be in there showing off the puppets. They a lot of times they would take their friends in there just so they liked it more than I even thought.
Okay, well, then it works out. It was fun.
Yeah, 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 and they're all kind of in the arts and entertainment themselves, so it kind of did rub off on them, I guess.
Good. So it
Not
makes
not
sense.
this, but other stuff.
Got you. Now, my mom actually, before I was born, she collected dolls. And so in my childhood home, she had like dolls everywhere. And my brother
Yeah.
went to go watch Annabelle one night and he came
Ooh.
home and he was like, Jada, like, you have got to come with me to the basement. I need to go. I need to go to the laundry room. And I'm like, no, like, leave me alone. But I like had to go down there with him. So I can only imagine. But like you said,
Yes.
your children liked them. So it was cool.
Yeah, they liked them. They really did.
Very
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, they were they just, yeah, they really did like them.
Very
I had
nice.
one time though, and it's on YouTube too. I have one case where I've got about 5 or 6 of the really old ones in there, and every time I would come home, one of the dummies, the heads would be moved, and actually one of them was laying down in the case, and it's kind of hard to get in the case. You have to remove these screws and take out the glass in a weird angle. And so I thought it was my wife or kids playing a joke on me. So I actually set up a camera one time when I left town, and we caught. This is strange. I know you're gonna think I'm crazy now. One of the dummies' heads kind of moved by itself,
Mm.
and I don't believe in this kind of stuff. To me, that was so strange. I kept playing it back, looking at it. Nobody was near the case. Nobody came in that room. The camera was there, a little motion sensor camera I had. And I don't know what it was. It's on YouTube. We put it up there. It's called like Andy Gross's Dummy Moves by Itself or something like that. And it probably was the thing I caught. Maybe I thought maybe the kids jumping upstairs or a little earthquake maybe or something. Because the head, you see it just go "Ooh," like that. It just tilts. It's like so. We don't know what it was, but so many people were commenting, "I'd burn those dummies. I'd burn that thing. I'd burn the whole house down. I'd burn the whole neighborhood down."
Oh dear.
So
Well,
yeah,
I can
but
imagine.
nothing.
Well, for the
Yeah,
sake, we're gonna say maybe it was your kids jumping upstairs
I
for
think
my
so.
own
Or a
personal
small
sanity.
earthquake or something, maybe in Los Angeles. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Wild, wild, wild. Well, I do want to know, how do you learn these tricks? Is there a magic school that you went to?
Uh,
How do you get so well equipped?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. I was learning all this stuff well before the internet. Now it's easier than ever to learn the ventriloquism, learn how to do magic. You can watch these videos, tutorials online. There's a lot of stuff you can learn now online. But when I did, here's like a book here, like an example right here, just an old magic book called Tarbell's Course in Magic, and this was a big course in magic on how to do every little trick you could imagine, every little let me see if I get a good example of. Yeah, they're showing like picture the hands and how to hold things and manipulate things, and so it was much harder to learn back then because you had to have the book open and it said take your left pinky, curl it underneath, take your left, this hand, put it on top, and then the book would slam shut. And it was like, ah, so it was hard to learn, but now you can watch these videos and tutorials. It's a lot easier to learn than ever. But I would study. I would read these books, go to the library, checked out a ton of books on ventriloquism and magic. No matter what school or library I would go to, I'd always check out these books. And I learned pretty much through books. And there was a course in the mail on how to fool your friends and throw your voice. Like in the back of the old comic books and stuff, it would say, "Be the life of the party, learn ventriloquism, throw your voice." And I ordered that in the mail and it worked. It was a real legit course and they still have it out there today. And you really can learn to throw your voice. You don't need any special voice box or born with anything special. Anyone can learn to do it. It does take some practice like anything else, but anyone can learn.
I love it. I love it. Now,
Yeah.
like I mentioned earlier, right? You did, or let me say it like this. You did do some shows in Georgia last month. Tell us about them
Yes.
very briefly. How did we treat you? How was the Peach State for you? Do you plan to come back at some point?
Yeah, I love it. I've always loved going to Georgia. I really have. These particular shows were great down there too. I just had a whole little tour down there. I think we did 6 shows down in Georgia. Had a great time, had a blast, and people are coming out, which is really great. They're filling up the theaters, which is fantastic, and they're having a good time, and I'm having fun. Because a lot of the stuff I do on stage, it's I use a lot of audience volunteers and participation. So every night it's a little bit different for me because kind of like when I do the pranks, I never know how these people are going to react, what they're going to say, what cards they're going to pick, so it's different for me. I'm on my toes too every night and having to ad lib and come up with new stuff. So I had a blast down there. I always do.
Very, very, very fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
Um, is there anything else you'd like to share with us before I wrap up?
I think we hit a lot of it. Well, most of it we really have, other than, they should go watch the special. Go watch the Andy Gross Are You Kidding Me on Amazon Prime and hit a little review if you
Yeah,
like it. If you
let's
don't, then
do
don't
it.
review it.
Oh,
And hit the rating you like again.
yeah,
And
very good.
yeah, yeah, and then come see a live show. Come on out. I'm touring. It seems like it's a never-ending tour right now.
Yeah.
So, but I'm having a blast. I feel good, and I really am having fun.
People can book you as well. Do you do any private bookings or does it have to be how does that work?
Yeah, I do. I do. We're working on something right now in Vegas, so where I might be there a little bit more consistent. But I do a lot of corporate shows. So yes, a lot of companies will book me to come in and do their retreats or their big, award ceremonies and their parties and the or Christmas holiday parties and things like that. And I still do those, and I love to do those because they're usually in fantastic hotels and great resorts and they treat you great and it's a lot those are a lot of fun doing the company parties and things like that. It slowed down after COVID, unfortunately, but that was a big part of what I was doing because when you do the corporate shows you only go out for one day. So I might fly back to Atlanta, take a red eye. When the kids were young, I would take a red eye to Atlanta, get there 5 6 o'clock in the morning once they were already asleep, get there at 5 o'clock in the morning, sleep during that day, do the show that night, and then in the morning catch an early flight, pick up 3 hours heading back west. I
Mhm.
was home almost before they were up again. They didn't even know I was gone, and I had
Wow.
flown and done a show, and made a little money so we could stay in the house another month, and
Right.
everything was good.
You made it work. Well, I love
Yeah,
that. I love
yeah.
that. And I've loved talking to you. Well, once
Well,
again,
thank you.
everybody, you've heard it here. Be sure to stream Andy Gross, Are You Kidding Me? On Amazon Prime. I'm gonna go get back my subscription. I gotta go watch. But you can also see his pranks where he's got gum flying out of his mouth. He's doing
Right,
crazy tricks with martial arts and scaring people. You can find all that good stuff on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube at Andy
right.
Gross Live. Once again, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.